The Word of God teaches us the Holy Ghost fell on the day of Pentecost. And the scripture says there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as of fire. And it sat upon each of them. So I want to sing this today. Sit on me, Jesus. Like cloven tongues. Say it, sing.
Greetings, everybody. Peace and blessings unto you all. I thank you all for tuning in. I thank you all for uh, deciding to join on your busy evening, day, whichever it is on your time of your part of the earth. Uh, I thank the Lord above all for allowing me to be able to have this platform and allowing me to be able to shed some light on some natural topics as well as scriptural topics. Uh, I thank Him for His mercy and kindness. I thank Him for our beloved pastor, the apostle, Pastor Gino Jennings. I thank Him for the Betty minister and brother who live with Him word and doctrine for their faithfulness. I thank Him for all the brothers and sisters and the naysayers. Tonight's episode is going to be a slightly different. It's going to be an in-depth conversation on, you know, on the economy and a little history therein on the economy and um, some similarities from history to now. And I want to greet everybody. Peace and blessings, Sister Tanya Bond, Brother Ham. Peace and blessings unto you. I really want to make this an educational video for those that may or may not, those who have agreements, disagreements on the topic and information that may be provided. You're welcome to have your disagreement. Let's just keep it respectful, peaceable, and the more I've been sitting here, and forgive my nasally sound. It's allergy season for me. I've popped some allergy meds, and nose is still seems to be a little stuffy, but love me my helper. I'll get through it. But I want to, it's one thing that I was thinking about today, and peace brings about prosperity. And I say that because war causes poverty. War creates poverty. War not only creates the elimination of life, but also the elimination for prosperity. I say that because all throughout history, you can find that wherever there was wars, countries became impoverished. Uh, Other countries became rich for a moment, then lost it. And the video that I have is going to kind of dive into a little bit of that history. I love history and the history of economics and where these things come from. Um, I like that throughout history, you can find the same track record with countries, no matter what continent you're on. And this video that I have selected is really going to show you, it's going to illustrate it for you. It's a really helpful video, not super long, but helpful. Kind of breaks down some major factors, some major components to how and why it happens, and you're going to see something eerily similar that I'm going to show you after a certain part. But I've watched them all 4 of them so far today, and this is the one I want to start with. And we can always continue on in another episode or whatnot and kind of continue it. Greetings, Brother Han. Thank you for joining, brother.
Greetings. Yeah, greetings and God bless.
Bless you, brother.
Yep.
Yeah,
God
man.
bless everybody in the chat. May the Lord continue to strengthen you and may His will be done in your life. I praise Him above all.
Greetings, Sister Vivian K and Sister Life of Paulette. Thank you for joining. I hope you guys enjoy this video. And Sister Life of Paulette, I haven't forgot your video on purgatory. I will get to that. Thank you for your patience. I did step away from YouTube for quite some time. A combination of keeping my own peace as well as a new position that I had by the Lord's blessing to obtain. So adjusting that schedule has been a little more difficult. and I'm trying to gather it so I can be a little more consistent with everybody in on this here. Brother Cam, what do you say on the inflation and the truth on it debasing the currency?
Well, you know something is funny, Brother Jeremy. I was just talking with somebody the other day how they was complaining about the price of food, gas, and all of this stuff like that, right? But I realized something. The same thing that we complain about now, they complained about in the 1900s,
Yep.
1940s, 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, all the way up until now. Our cost of living always matches the inflation, no matter how we want to look at it. Sometimes you make borderline amount of money where you're just making enough to go paycheck to paycheck. So, and it also depends on what state you stay in too.
Yep.
Like at first, I thought it was cheaper to stay in Florida than it was to live where I'm living at. No, it's
Nope.
actually the opposite. It's cheaper to live in Indiana, Chicago. Well, not Chicago. So let's not say Chicago, but anywhere else around Illinois is cheap to live. St. Louis, Michigan, all the places in the Midwest. It seems like Midwest is going to be the cheapest place to live as far as the choices go, even with the inflation and everything.
Yeah.
But I say this about inflation, right? The problem is we forget the benefits that we want the government to give us. That comes with a cost, and
Yep.
every time we look for a benefit, it adds to the inflation.
Right.
Just like with the shutdown, right?
Uh-huh.
This shutdown, you can blame either party. That's fine.
Uh-huh.
But even if the shutdown didn't happen, the inflation is still there. It doesn't
Yep.
change the inflation. Uh, if they cut off food stamps, or if they give more money to veterans, or more money to families in need, the inflation will still be there. What we're doing is it's really what it is. Inflation is a debt that's owed to other countries.
Yeah.
Now, the only person that tried to do anything with it is the president that's in office now. I don't care about his personal life, what he did, what everybody
Gotta break it up, Ham.
did. Other people talked about it. He actually did something. He got rid of the useless people. And did you hear about him trying to get rid of the IRS? That's gonna be called the ERS.
Yeah. We were talking about that.
Coolest thing
6 months ago, Ham? We were talking about that 6 months ago, 7 months ago?
Yeah. Now it's actually coming to fruition. But it just goes to show you inflation is a distraction. It's something that can't be paid off.
Correct. This video,
Trump's
brother.
tariffs.
Go ahead, brother. Sorry.
Yeah. These tariffs that people dislike so much actually take care of the inflation and the deficit at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it's money that other people are paying. See, my thing is this, right? These other countries owe us just like we owe them. Why is our inflation higher than theirs?
Well, here's the thing, brother Ham. When you go back and you look at history, and you look at when this country in particular, it's more recent history too. When this country was producing, it was ahead of everything in every single aspect. We were prospering because we had goods to sell to the world, right? So it goes back to basic economics where the supply and demand. If you control the supply and you can match the demand on a certain thing or things, thus making it cheaper. The problem is when the demand is higher than the supply. That's when you reach a boiling point of where things skyrocket. Right now, there's a more demand than supply of financial benefits for people in general, especially on the lower end to the middle class. There's There's
Yeah.
more demand than there is supply. There's not enough money to go around to support it. But people don't see the economic burden that it's caused the country for generations upon generations to live on this subsidy, thus creating the taxpayer. When you have less taxpayers paying into a system that pays the people that can't afford to live, what do you think happens? You go into poverty as a country, and inflation skyrockets. And then everybody's hurt. The middle class is destroyed and erodes away, whereas the upper class stays status quo because the upper class is the ones that are prepared for it, whereas the middle class is not, because the middle class worker is the one footing the bill. So it's not you're getting the taxpayer is paying for people to willingly stay at home. I don't think people are looking at this side of the coin. They're only looking at the side of the coin. They're not looking at the ones that have been taking advantage of taxpayer dollars, which is theft. By definition, is stealing from somebody else because you don't want to work. Because you want to pop out 1,000 kids and don't want to work. I'm talking about those people. I'm not talking about the people that need a hand and then they get on their feet and get off it. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about why should the taxpayer foot the bill for somebody who's here illegally? Make that make sense. I said illegally, not legally. Millions of dollars is going to illegal immigrants when legal people in the country can't get it. Make that make sense.
You can't. There's no sense to be made of that.
People are preying on emotion.
Common sense is one of the things that we have, right? Because I realize, right, a country without border is not a country. And whether you like it or not, other countries. See, why is it they don't hold other countries responsible like they do the United States? Because regardless of what anybody has to say about the United States, this is one of the greatest countries in the world.
Yeah. I want to get into this video because I kind of want to. This video is a short video, but it breaks down. It's a history lesson, Brother Ham. This one I found was a gem. Yeah. It's a history lesson on three different countries in the past and the current United States. And I like what he did and how he brought it together. So I'm gonna bring this forward real quick, and I'm gonna play and tell me when you want to stop and comment on it, Brother Ham. As we go through, you just let me know. But here we go.
Okay.
There's a pattern that has destroyed every major empire in history. Not conquest, not invasion, not revolution. Economic collapse. Specifically, currency collapse. And it happens the exact same way every single time. Rome, the empire that ruled the known world for 5 centuries, collapsed when its currency became worthless. Spain, which controlled more gold and silver than any nation in history, went bankrupt repeatedly until its empire dissolved. Britain, which dominated global trade for 200 years, lost its empire within a decade after its currency collapsed. 4 times in recorded history, a dominant empire has followed this exact pattern. Military overextension, unsustainable spending, currency debasement or money printing, inflation, loss of confidence, collapse. And every time, the people in power believed they were different, that their empire was special, that the old rules didn't apply to them. They were wrong, every single time. And right now in 2025, the United States is following that exact same pattern. Step by step, warning sign by warning sign. The only question is whether we're near the beginning, the middle, or the end. This is the story of how empires destroy themselves through their own currency. How it happened to Rome, Spain, and Britain, and why every warning sign says it's happening again. Let's start with Rome, the empire that dominated Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East.
I disagree with him about saying that America is following the same thing, because
you'll see.
Those countries, okay, no, I just want to say this: what those countries didn't have was the same foundation that built this country. Yeah, some of them were Freemasons, some of them were so-called Christians, and this and that. But the basis and what we had was built off the biblical definition of what a country was built on. Yeah, we went away from a lot of it. This country, it's not a Christian nation anymore. That's a fact. But I'll say this: a lot of what he's saying, they always leave out that part. That bothers me
We'll see.
because
This basically just talks about the debasing of the currency, and you'll see what he means
yeah,
by when he says that. You'll see, and you'll be like, okay, you'll
I
see.
know where he's going with it already. I already know where he's going with it already. But yeah, I just want to say that. Go ahead.
Okay, all right, brother.
For over 500 years. At its peak, Rome controlled 60 million people across 3 continents. Its military was unmatched. Its infrastructure was the most advanced on Earth. Its currency, the denarius, was trusted everywhere, from Britain to Egypt. The denarius was a silver coin introduced in 211 BC. It contained about 4.5 grams of pure silver. For centuries, it held its value because the Roman government maintained its purity. When you received a denarius, you knew exactly what you were getting. Pure silver, real value. This created trust, and trust allowed Rome to fund its expansion, pay its soldiers, and build its infrastructure. But empires are expensive. Every generation, Rome's borders expanded. Every expansion required more soldiers, more forts, more roads, more administration. And eventually, more money than Rome actually had. So they did what every empire does when it spends more than it earns. They debased the currency. Emperor Nero, ruling from 54 to 68 AD, was the first to significantly reduce the silver content of the denarius. He needed to fund his lavish lifestyle and expensive military campaigns, so he ordered the mints to reduce the silver content from 100% to 90%. That extra 10%, pure profit for the emperor. He could mint 11 coins with the silver that used to make 10, more coins in circulation. Same amount of silver, that's inflation. But 90% silver was still substantial. The real destruction came later. By the time Emperor Caracalla ruled in 211 AD, the denarius was down to 50% silver. Half real value, half base metal. By 265 AD, under Emperor Gallienus, it had fallen to just 5% silver. A coin that was once pure silver was now 95% worthless metal with a thin silver coating. Think about what that means. If you were a Roman soldier in 200...
So now I want to show you something that's very similar. I want to show you something. I want to show you what has happened. I'm going to use the penny for an example. I'm going to use the penny. So it says here, modern penny.
I know. I know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
Since 1982 are 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating. The same thing that Rome did with the silver and debasing the currency is the same thing that they are doing today with the coins. It says containing only 2.5% copper. Pennies made before 1982 are composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. So there was a value there, a substantial physical value.
Yeah.
So that's the comparison that he made, and it lines up with what the United States has done. And it even gets even scarier when you see him go even further.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew about that. They did the same thing with silver, but they couldn't do it with gold.
Well, here's the thing. Wait till you see when he breaks down the United States and how it was affected with gold already. You'll see. You'll see. But whenever you cut it down, it becomes less valuable. There's less, for lack of better terms, weight behind it, making it devalued. If there's nothing backing that currency, you have nothing. You have absolutely
You know
nothing.
something? I'll be honest with you. And I was sitting up here thinking about this. And I was trying to figure out how long I was going to give Trump to see how this economy turn around, because he hasn't been in office long enough for me to say anything about what he's doing. So I'm not going to put anything on him. He hasn't been there long enough. But what I will do is wait until December of next year and what this economy looks like. See, because everybody is too much doom and gloom with all the stuff that he's doing.
Yeah.
Now you have to watch and see And I don't see he's not making any bad moves that's hurting our economy. Not like the other people before him. So I want to
So
see what he does in this next year.
you can't credit the demise of an economy or the upbringing of the upticking of an economy with one administration. That's the fatal mistake people make. It takes so for this economy to reach the point it has reached. It took many administrations for that to happen. It didn't just happen with one, but you've noticed how they always pinpoint one administration, the current one, or the one right before it. No, you
Right.
can't solely blame Biden. You can't solely blame Trump's first term. You can't solely
Obama
blame
or anyone else.
Obama's. You can't solely blame George W. Bush. You can't solely blame Bill Clinton, and you can't solely blame Bush Sr. You can't even solely blame. It takes decades
Yeah.
upon decades
Yeah. It really
for it
started
to
to get
culminate.
bad. It really started getting bad in the late 70s. Really started getting bad. But I'll say this, right? If what Trump is doing, he has actually rebooted our financial situation. Now, he only has 3 more years to do the stuff that he's doing. They're going to elect Vance as president at the end of his term. I already know it. I'm not even thinking about it. I know they are. And I think that Vance is going to continue what he's, like I said, if they got 15 years to straighten out something, what was it, 12 years? I want to see what happens because by the time that Vance is out of office, they'll have somebody else in place, maybe Rubio or one of those other ones or whatever. You know, I want to see because I believe they're going to get these 12 years they need to change this economy. Because right now nobody has a complaint with them. As far as them going out being racist and this and that, they might as well stop with that because I don't even listen to that stuff anymore.
Correct.
I can't vote for them or anything like that. All I can do is pay attention to the economy.
Yeah. And if any of you in the the chat have any questions, you're more than welcome to leave your questions. But I want to continue this video and show a little more. You'll see where it's heading.
Yeah.
65 AD, receiving your pay in denarii, you were being paid in coins worth 1/20th of what soldiers earned 2 centuries earlier. The government told you nothing had changed. The coins still said denarius. They still had the emperor's face, but the purchasing power had collapsed. Prices exploded. What cost 1 denarius in 200 AD cost 50 denarii by 300 AD. Farmers stopped selling food for coins and demanded barter instead. Soldiers refused to fight unless paid in gold or goods. Tax collectors couldn't collect taxes because the currency was worthless. The entire economic system seized up. And here's the key. This wasn't caused by foreign invasion. Rome's borders were still defended. This wasn't caused by plague or natural disaster. This was self-inflicted. The Roman government destroyed its own currency to fund spending it couldn't afford. And when the currency died, the empire died with it. By 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire officially collapsed. Not because Germanic tribes were stronger, but because Rome couldn't pay its armies anymore, couldn't fund its administration, couldn't maintain its infrastructure. The currency had been debased into irrelevance, and everything built on that currency collapsed. The pattern: military expansion, unsustainable spending, currency debasement.
What I will say about America and what's going on with this shutdown, because Trump made so much money for these rich people, they paid the military people while the shutdown is going on.
I mean, that's good. That's
Nobody
good.
else in history has done that.
I mean, we'll see. The fact remains that the currency is being debased at this very moment.
Yeah. I'm with you about that, but that just made me think about that. Right when I seen the military, and they were talking about the military, how they wouldn't fight unless they were paid in gold. Well, all of the military people got paid the essential And when I say essential, I mean the people that's our military, Navy, Air Force, and Marine. All of them will be paid through the shutdown. The rich investors have always agreed that we need our military, our Navy, Air Force, and Marines. So they're paying them, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So
So
yeah, I mean, that's one aspect of it, Ham. That's not the whole.
yeah, I know, but I just had to say that when I just seen them when they was talking about the military. That's why I said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Inflation,
I get it.
loss
Just
of
talking
economic
about
function,
the value of
collapse. Rome
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right.
I can wait.
proved the pattern, and every empire since has repeated it. Now let's jump forward 12 centuries. Spain, 1500s. The Spanish Empire is just beginning its golden age. Christopher Columbus has opened the New World. Hernan Cortez has conquered the Aztecs. Francisco Pizarro has conquered the Incas. And Spain now controls the richest territories on earth. In 1545, Spanish explorers discover the Cerro Rico mountain in Potosi, in what is now Bolivia. This isn't just a silver mine, it's the largest silver deposit ever discovered. For the next century, Potosi will produce nearly half of the world's silver, millions of pounds of it. Ships loaded with silver cross the Atlantic, filling Spanish coffers with wealth beyond imagination. Spain mints this silver into coins. The Spanish dollar becomes the first true global currency. It's used from Europe to Asia. It's trusted, it's pure, and there's an endless supply of it. Spain becomes the richest, most powerful empire on earth. At its peak, the Spanish Empire controls territories on every inhabited continent. The sun never sets on Spanish holdings. And then, exactly like Rome, they destroy themselves. Because there's a paradox with money. More money doesn't make you richer if everyone has more money. When Spain floods Europe with silver, prices rise. What cost one silver coin in 1500 costs 10 coins by 1600. The silver hasn't become less pure. There's just vastly more of it. That's inflation. Spain is importing so much silver that it's destroying the value of silver itself. And worse, Spain isn't producing anything. They're not building industries. They're not innovating. They're just extracting wealth from the colonies and spending it on wars, palaces, and luxury goods imported from other countries. The silver flows in from the Americas and flows right back out to France, England, and the Netherlands. To pay for goods, Spain doesn't produce itself. By the late 1500s, Spain's kings are drowning in debt. King Philip II, ruling from 1556 to 1598, inherits massive debt from his father, Charles I. 36 million ducats in debt. And rather than cut spending, Philip borrows more. He fights wars on multiple fronts against the Ottoman Empire, against Protestant rebels in the Netherlands, against England, and when the debt becomes unpayable, he defaults. In 1557, Philip II declares bankruptcy and suspends all debt payments. This is the first sovereign default in modern history, but it's not the last. Spain defaults again in 1560, again in 1575, again in 1596, 4 defaults in 40 years. Despite controlling half the world's silver production, Spain can't pay its debts. Each default destroys trust. Lenders refuse to lend to Spain. Interest rates on Spanish debt skyrocket. And the government responds by debasing the currency. They start minting coins with less silver. They introduce copper coins that are supposed to be worth as much as silver coins. Nobody believes it. The currency loses credibility. By the 1600s, Spain is in terminal decline. The military can't be funded. The colonies begin to break away. And when the 30 Years' War ends in 1648, Spain signs the Peace of Westphalia, which marks the beginning of the end. By 1700, the Spanish Empire is essentially over. The country that once controlled the world's wealth had spent and borrowed itself into irrelevance. The pattern again: massive wealth influx, government overspending, excessive borrowing, currency inflation, repeated defaults, loss of confidence, collapse. Spain proved that even endless resources can't.
So I wanted to stop there because whenever you see government funding, what the government bill is, or the 2020 lockdowns, and whenever you hear stimulate the economy, alarm bells should go off. That means more inflation. That means artificially pumping in worthless dollar bills into the economy to prop it up, to make it look as though it's something that it is not. Whenever you hear
It's
that,
true.
that is them pumping and printing money with absolutely nothing backing that money, thus making the money less valuable thus putting people into more poverty because they feel just print, just print, just print, just print. And when you borrow from the Federal Reserve, when the government borrows from the Federal Reserve, it is an instant loan. Right away, interest starts to build. And who pays the interest? You guessed it, you and I. So
Yep.
the more they pump
Yep.
into the system without producing goods, without producing services, without producing anything of value, the scarier and the worse it gets. And that's exactly what has happened. And I will never forget an old history teacher. She was probably 70 when I was in 6th grade. I had an old history teacher, and she said the problem with the United States is it consumes, and it does not produce anything. That is the problem. And that is what you see today. There's no producing of selling things to other countries and making it, which is why when Biden shut down the reserves and the gas line, and when he shut down the steel mills, what he did was cut the United States Americans people's legs out from underneath them, because that was why everything was cheaper, because we had an abundance of it. The supply exceeded the demand. So when we had to go and buy from Russia, the supply was lower than the demand, thus pushing oil prices, pushing gas prices up, and causing high rates.
And another thing too, everybody complained about the tariffs, but the only people that have to pay the tariffs are the ones that won't manufacture in the United States. But people leave out that part, right? And a lot of people agree to it, like car dealerships and so forth and so on. Different things like manufacturing chips now, computer chips and stuff here in America, instead of buying a lot of them from China. A lot of designers and so forth and so on, they're doing that stuff in the United States, so they don't have to pay tariffs on this stuff. See, I think that, and I mean, I'll be honest, I think the smartest thing that Trump did was made tariffs a bargaining tools for these other countries to build here in the United States, so we can manufacture a lot of our stuff, which brings down inflation, brings down the cost of stuff.
Correct. And when you look at it, what is the thing that they were pushing, right? They were pushing for they're pushing for solar. Well, who makes the solar panels? The Chinese.
Yeah.
They lead that.
Yeah.
They own, just like everything going electric. Who owns the cobalt and the lithium deposits? China.
That's an Africa. I thought that was an Africa.
No, China.
Yeah, no. He kicked a lot of them. No, he kicked a lot of them out.
So when you had
that new president,
when you had that's certain parts. There's multiple parts of Africa that are
they lost a lot of that lithium mine. Yeah, they lost a lot of that lithium mine stuff, and they wasn't willing to fight a war against Africa and lose all of it. So yeah, they lost a lot of their mines over there.
So when Biden did that, he pushed money back into the hands of China and took it away from the United States people. People fail to realize the economic damage that costs. You look at, and every president has been doing it, has been dumping, trillions of dollars into foreign wars.
Yeah.
For what?
But I have to go back to Trump again. Listen, the guy is doing everything he can to bring everything back to America. Biden, Obama, Bush, Clinton, Bush Senior, Reagan, and all of them. They did not bring stuff back to America.
But the point that I'm getting at with the giving to fight wars, Trump is doing the same thing with the wars. He's financing over there and dishing out money. He's doing the same thing.
Yeah, but he's also bringing money in, though.
What I'm saying though, but at this point, we can't be dishing any money out. That's my point. That's the one
No,
thing I
but listen,
disagree with you.
but listen though, right? They're paying tariffs. Money's coming back into the United States. He's
Not
giving them a
not
quarter.
not that amount though.
Of,
The
no,
amount that he gave.
no,
No,
no. Yes, those
no,
tariffs are more than what he's giving them to fight wars.
no. He's given trillions. We have not received trillions in
No,
tariffs. No, we have not.
by, by the end of the year, yes, that's what they'll be received. Remember, they've
But
almost received what was it? Uh, 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 I think it was close to $1 trillion. They've almost received by the end of this year.
my point is this though, Ham. We cannot be giving it out at all, and that's the mistake he made. That's what I'm saying. That is a mistake.
Yeah, but I haven't heard where he gave out. I think that the numbers are kind of fudged because I don't see that, and I watch a lot of. I haven't seen where actually he hasn't given any weapons out. The only people that he's given money out to, and it was very little, and that was to Ukraine.
We shouldn't be giving any money out because we can't even feed our own people.
No,
That's my point.
he made it a one-time deal for them.
I understand, but it shouldn't even have been a one-time deal. Is my point. It should have been a no-time deal.
Yeah, but yeah, and then Biden gave them 86.
I'm not
I take that
excluding Biden from that either. I'm just saying that's the one thing that I would say that he did make a mistake on. He did make that. That is a mistake. I'm not saying everything else.
Not only did he give Ukraine all of that money, which he shouldn't have did. I get it. They're fighting a war. Putin was this and that, but I think they hid the reason why they were fighting the war, and innocent people got drawn into that. But I'll say this: what he gave to Afghanistan was the horrible part that for Biden, because he gave them a lot of military stuff.
I'm just saying, in general, the presidents, no matter who it is, need to stop getting into. If you go back and you look at what the definition of the government was, it was to keep. And what was the one thing it said? To prevent us
for the
from
people
being foreign entanglement. But no, to keep us from foreign entanglements.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying. Our government for the people, by the people, which means that
yes,
our for the people, of the people, and that being the case, the wars that you wouldn't get involved in should have been voted on with the people being involved in it. But they got away from that because this is the reason why. Another thing that I have to give, I have to go back giving Trump credit for that. Get rid of a lot of this in large government. Make it small. So it's for the people. It's for the for the people, by the people. That's the in one sentence it says that. But you know, I say that we don't think much of the military and the wars that we fight, and we don't think that we can have a say in that.
So I opened up with greetings, Sister Shelley. Happy birthday to you, Mother Shelley. Thank the Lord that you were able to see another
happy
year.
birthday to you, Sister Shelley, and greetings.
What I opened up with, Ham, was peace brings prosperity. War brings poverty. No matter how you slice it, war brings poverty. It doesn't bring peace.
But it's also money in war because of greedy. Yeah, it's money in war for greedy people.
For not for the people of the country. So, like I said, peace. Why I opened up with peace brings prosperity, because in peaceful times, everybody has more. Because you're not wasting it on taking out people. So war costs more money on two fronts. Well, actually, more than two fronts. We'll say three fronts. It costs on lives lost, number one. It costs on the financial burden of supporting it. It also costs on the destruction that it does to a nation. Now,
It does.
when you have that, it creates a great debt.
Yeah.
It does. So anytime a president wants to either go to war or makes an effort to fund another country to go to war, they have created a form of poverty. They have created poverty. Because I know I didn't say my tax money can go over to kill people. I didn't say it was okay for my money to go there. That's my point.
You are absolutely
The vast
too, Brother
majority
John.
don't agree with it, but they do it anyways. This is my point. It goes back to it. It goes back to the same song and dance from the same people. I get out of everybody's business. Fix your problems at home. It's like if you have problems at home, what business do you have going out trying to fix somebody else's home? You can't even fix your home.
Yeah.
What are you doing in anybody else's business? Same
True.
thing. If you can't take care of your family, if you're struggling to take care of your family, what business do you have taking care of somebody else's?
Yeah.
That don't make no sense.
No, not at all. I agree with you.
That's what I'm saying. So when you break it to a more simpler form, why are we giving aid and money to other countries when we can't even help our own people? And that goes back to even the immigration thing. Why are we supporting illegals, not legals, illegals, and we can't support our own? We have elderly mothers, young children not having, but we want to take care of somebody else who's here illegally? Make that make sense.
Got a question, too. I got a question, Brother John. Does
What's
this
that?
video talk about the nice attempt, Lord?
No. This is simply about the debasing of currency and what happens and how the
Right,
countries
right.
evolve.
But the nice attempt, Lord, played a lot of games with people's financial situations of America, too.
Yeah, he gets into. There's a lot. This subject is deep, right? You can go into. There's a lot of different areas you can go into, and how the money changed and everything like that, and how it began to debase. Like, this is a deep, long subject that you can go down so many different avenues. But I just want to, for the people, I understand it. You understand it, but I want people to understand the significance of the debasing of the currency and what it does to the middle to poor class. I want them to understand what it does to them. That's why I chose this video. It's very basic.
No. Hey, just real quick, Sister Shelley. Yeah, the military got paid privately by private donors. Military.
Kind of breaking up, Brother Ham. Kind of breaking up, Brother Ham.
No, I was responding to what Sister Shelley. Yeah. I was responding to what Sister Shelley said. No, the soldiers, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine got paid by the private millionaires that are friends with Trump, that support him. So the military and Navy, Air Force, Marine, they're all getting paid private.
So I want to get right back into this video a little, and I don't want to deviate from too much so everybody can grasp and understand.
Save an empire from fiscal mismanagement. Now we come to Britain, the empire that lasted longer, stretched further, and controlled more wealth than Rome or Spain combined. At its peak in 1922, the British Empire governed 458 million people, 1/4 of the world's population, 1/4 of the world's land. The sun never set on the British Empire, not because they controlled every time zone, but because they controlled so much territory that it was always daytime somewhere under British rule. And the British pound sterling was the foundation of it all. For over 2 centuries, the pound was the world's reserve currency, Over 60% of global trade was invoiced in pounds. The gold standard anchored everything. £1 sterling could be exchanged for a fixed amount of gold. This created trust, stability, and power. But empires are built on credit, and credit has to be repaid. Britain funded its empire through borrowing, government bonds, debt to finance wars, colonies, infrastructure, administration. As long as the pound held its value, this worked. But then came World War I. In 1914, Britain's national debt was $650 million. By 1919, after 4 years of total war, it had exploded to over $7 billion. That's a tenfold increase in.
That's why I said war creates poverty. Look at for 4 years, look at how much debt was accumulated. We're talking early 1900s, 7 billion. That's a lot of money in the early 1900s. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So this is why I said peace brings prosperity and war brings poverty. It's a fact. It's statistical fact that whenever a country goes to war and how long has the United States been at war? They haven't not been in a war since when? They were in World War I, World War II, Korean conflict, Vietnam, Cuban Missile Crisis, the first
Vietnam War,
second Desert Storm, Afghani. We're over here meddling. We're over here meddling with Iran. We're over here meddling with Ukraine. We're over here meddling. All this creates nothing but poverty. People fail to realize when you go to war, you make your country poor. Oh, it's definitely repeating itself, Sister Shelley, Mother Shelley. We are pretty much there. We're right there.
Yeah.
We are at a hyperinflation.
Yeah, but to be honest, we were more prepared for it than they were then.
I still see it collapsing even worse.
Yeah, but that's for the people that didn't prepare for it, and a lot more people prepared for this stuff.
Not many people are preparing for this either.
No, I said people prepared for it. I didn't say everyone.
It's going to be catastrophic. But so I want to get. I want this is going to be the key part here that I was really wanted to get down to. Watch.
5 years. To fund the war, Britain had borrowed from everyone, from its own citizens, from the United States, from anyone who would lend. But the war also forced Britain off the gold standard. In 1914, when war broke out, the government suspended gold convertibility. They had to print money to fund the war effort, and they couldn't maintain gold backing while doing it. The pound became a fiat currency, backed by nothing but the government's promise. After the war, Britain tried to return to gold. In 1925, Winston Churchill, then Chancellor of the Exchequer, put Britain back on the gold standard at the pre-war exchange rate. This was a catastrophic mistake. The pound was overvalued. British exports became uncompetitive. Unemployment soared, and the government had to maintain high interest rates to defend the currency, which crushed economic growth. By 1931, Britain was forced off gold again, permanently this time. The pound was devalued, and trust in British currency began to erode. But the real destruction came after World War II. Britain entered World War II already deeply in debt. The war cost everything. By 1945, Britain's national debt had reached 270% of GDP. The empire had bankrupted itself to win the war. Entire cities were in ruins. The economy was shattered. And Britain owed massive debts to the United States. In 1944, while the war was still raging, the Bretton Woods Conference redesigned the global financial system. The British pound was officially replaced as the world's primary reserve currency. The US dollar took its place. Britain fought desperately to preserve the pound's status, but it was over. They had the debt, but not the gold or the economy, to back their currency anymore. What followed was a slow, humiliating decline. In 1947, Britain tried to make the pound convertible again. The experiment lasted 6 weeks before a run on the currency forced them to reimpose controls. In 1949, the pound was devalued by 30%. In 1967, it was devalued again. Each devaluation destroyed savings, crushed confidence, and signaled to the world that Britain was no longer a first-rate power. Meanwhile, the empire disintegrated. India gained independence in 1947. Egypt nationalized the Suez Canal in 1956, and Britain's military response was a humiliating failure. Colony after colony broke away, not because they were conquered by outside forces, but because Britain could no longer afford to maintain them. By the 1970s, Britain was on the verge of becoming a failed state. Inflation hit 25%. The government went begging to the IMF for a bailout. The pound, which had once been the world's reserve currency, was now a symbol of decline. The empire that controlled a quarter of the earth had lost it all within 30 years, not through military defeat, through currency collapse and debt. The pattern once more, war debt, currency debasement, loss of reserve status, devaluation, inflation, imperial collapse. Britain proved that even the strongest empire can fall within a single generation when its currency fails. Which brings us to now, the United States, the current empire, the current reserve currency, and every single warning sign that destroyed Rome, Spain, and Britain is flashing red. Let's start with the currency. The US dollar has been the world's reserve currency since 1944. After World War II, the Bretton Woods system made the dollar the global standard. It was backed by gold, $35 per ounce. Other nations pegged their currencies to the dollar, and the dollar was as good as gold, literally. But just like Rome, just like Britain, the United States started spending more than it had. The Vietnam War, the Great Society programs, military bases around the world. By the 1960s, foreign governments noticed that America was printing more dollars than it had gold to back them. France, under Charles de Gaulle, started demanding gold in exchange for dollars.
Supply and demand. You don't have enough to back your currency, you have nothing. You might as well be holding a piece of toilet paper. The dollar has no value. It has no value. It is dropped. $1 today is probably equivalent to 35 cents.
Yeah.
This is the sign that everybody needs to be watching. The dollar is collapsing. And when the dollar collapses, guess what happens? The country collapses. Why? Because the country needs financial backing. Nixon made a horrible decision by taking the dollar off the gold standard. That was a fatal and lethal mistake. All because they had too much to pay for and not enough money. There's only so much money that goes. You need something physical to back your currency. It does. You can't. You don't just become a wealthy. People think that just because the country can print money, that makes them wealthy. No, that makes them poor.
Yeah.
It makes you more poor. You need to have these things made in this country. You need to be producing things. We were the leaders of producing. We were the leader of the automobile industry. We've been surpassed long ago by Japan and the Asian countries and even Germany. We were the leaders in education. We've done plummeted there. We were the leaders in producing fossil fuels. We are not there now. That was our only last hope of what we held on to. We were the head of all kinds of things, and we have become the bottom of it. And that's why this country is failing. That's why the currency is being debased. And everybody just wants to keep giving handouts. No, you can't stop getting handouts. That's killing the economy. It's killing the economy. When you see all these, anybody being able to finance anything, that's an alarming thing. It's a lot, because then you're lending to people who won't pay you back, thus creating more poverty, because the banks are going to just keep losing, and that's how banks are plummeting down. The government is pushing poverty to the people, and they're eating it with a spoon. People don't understand basic economics. They don't. And it shows when you hear the rhetoric.
I have to go back to what I said, Brother John. I have to wait until next year this time before I say anything as far as this, because I mean my stocks and my cryptos look good now, and they said that the crypto was gonna go down, but the people that were saying it wound up being wrong.
Here's the thing.
Stocks,
It's like the dollar. What is backing that crypto?
oh,
Gold.
you forgot?
No, gold is not backing it. Nothing
Yeah, I
is on the
just
gold
passed
standard.
that.
No.
Yeah, crypto is. You didn't know
I
that?
said, what is no, because we don't have any
They
gold.
just passed that.
We don't have
No, I'm
gold
telling
here.
you.
We
Okay.
don't have gold here.
I don't
We
think they
don't.
would have just said it.
Yes, they would. Just like they said the dollar is strong and the economy is strong, the same way they say that gold is backing Bitcoin. I doubt that severely.
Well, I'm saying that the economy is strong. The inflation is the problem.
No, the economy is not strong because if you have inflation, that's an oxymoron.
No, the inflation
Yeah,
doesn't matter about
it
the
does.
economy being strong. I'm gonna tell you. Hold on, let me tell you why. Okay, the goods and everything still continue to come, even though the inflation continues to go up. That doesn't change. Now, remember, people think that inflation. I'll say it again. Inflation has nothing to do with your groceries or anything like that. It has nothing to do with it
It does.
at all. It's the good. I'm going to show you that it doesn't. It has to do with what we're doing, what we're bringing into this country. The inflation in general are old debts to other countries. We're getting some of that money back now because of the tariffs.
How much is the national debt here?
35 trillion, 36 trillion.
Okay. All right. Now, it's more than 35 trillion. It's like 270 trillion. That's the real number.
I mean,
the 35 trillion they give you is that fake number. It's $270 trillion in debt. How many trillion are we getting back in tariffs?
we won't know until next year. I can't say that
Rough
till the end of next
rough
year
estimate.
because
What are they predicting? Let's
I
just go with that.
think we're gonna get about 5 trillion back.
All right. That leaves you at 265 trillion in debt, and then there's going to be more debt accumulated. So you're looking at
this is what I'm trying to. Hold on, wait, hold on. You're missing the point of this, right? Let me show you what I mean. If we're receiving 5 trillion, that means that can't grow because 5 trillion of it's been paid, right? No matter if you say it's 265, right? So that means that it was 270, right? If you're saying that, right? So 5 of that gets knocked off. Before that's able to build again in another year, another 5 goes on, or maybe 10, depending on what happens with the economy. If they really start to collect on these tariffs, like from these 70 countries, that's a lot of money, and it starts to increase as the goods increase.
Do you know how much trillion we get in debt each year?
This year it's only been about a trillion
So
far.
So
no, I take that back
it's
because
definitely more than a trillion.
I take that
more
back.
than a trillion a year.
I think, I think Biden, because of that new Green Deal and all that mess he did. I think it's about 2 or 3 trillion. I have to go back and actually look, but I think it was about that.
So if you have 2 to 3 trillion in debt, it's because we have to pay certain things for certain things. You can't erase that, right? That stuff that we are getting in debt because we need it in this country. So you have 5. Let's say he makes 5 trillion, and you have 2 to 3. We'll just call it 2 trillion. You're only getting 3 trillion back.
And I'm saying 5. It could be 10. I'm not sure. See, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying we don't know how these tariffs are going to pay off because Nobody's giving it enough time. Even though
Five,
we see a
5
change in
trillion
the
is
economy,
generous.
I'm not saying we don't have. No, no, no,
That's
no, no.
generous.
But I'm saying no, 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 no. But I'm saying this though, brother Jeremy. I'm saying that the tariffs are working, right? For instance, you got we just Canada alone, right? That's supposed to be our neighbor. Now they're at 45 trillion. I mean 45% in tariffs.
Okay.
China's at 84. Then you have
Those,
remember, you have 75 countries that are paying tariffs to us.
okay. Those percentages, 84% tariffs on how, okay, that's great. Is an 84% increase in tariff. What goods are they being tariffed on? See, this is where economics comes in, where you got to get into the fine
Everything,
details of what they're being
everything,
tariffed,
mostly electronics.
how much they're being tariffed. So I just want to answer Sister Shelley's question real quick. So, Sister
Yeah, okay.
Shelley, here's the thing, the United States government does not own the rights to print the money. The Federal Reserve
No,
banking system owns the rights. So what happens is every
yeah,
time the Federal Reserve prints out more money and gives to the United States government, what happens is
it
it's
loses
a
its power.
loan extended to the United States government that builds interest the moment the money is printed. So therefore, if they keep printing money, that keeps plummeting us into debt. What we need to do is produce more, spend less, and
That's right.
it's going to be a very slow process, but that's the only way. So this is why cutting the border off helps the United States people, because we can't
Right.
afford to continue to feed the whole world. We can't afford it. This is why the American people are suffering on behalf of it, is because we are shoveling our money out, which is already debased, which means devalued. We're sending out it's like
Yeah,
35 cents is the equivalency of $1. The actual value is about 35 cents. So we're sending out all this debased currency, printing more and more, debasing it even more, because the more you print out, the less value it becomes. And then what happens is the more in debt we become. So the Federal Reserve and the United States people, pay that debt that is taken out by the government, and we pay the debt that's shoveled out to foreign countries. So when he says, "Oh, we're going to send off, $4 billion to Ukraine," you've just cut another loan from the Federal Reserve that's building interest on the American people to fight a war that you're not even over there. That has nothing to do with you. Therefore, you're putting your own people in more poverty by continuing to get yourself into these outside dilemmas, and also giving free money away. It's not free. The United States taxpayer foots the bill. Any money that's given to a subsidy, any money that's given to a program, any money that's given to anything that's given outside this country, the United States taxpayer foots the bill, not the government. Their politicians are still getting their fat salaries. They're still buying their yachts. It's not affecting them. Also, every United States president, once they serve one term, for the rest of their life, they get $500,000 each year. Senators and governors varies depending on how long they serve as a senator or governor. That's another expense that the taxpayer dollar is. You're paying these people's retirement fund. The people who work are paying the retirement fund for these politicians. It has become a career instead of a civic duty. A civic duty is you don't get paid for. This is a career now. So they're looking at it as, I'm going to make as much money as I can and get out. And it's going to be on the taxpayers,
so
on the taxpayers' dollar.
yeah, so far, brother Jeremy, they brought in 215 billion in tariff revenue for 2025.
That's 10
hasn't
months
even been
in.
a full year yet.
That's 10 months. We're not even going to hit. It's not even going to hit $1 trillion.
No,
It's not even going to hit $1 trillion.
But But remember, the tariffs didn't get started until what, March?
Okay, so it's going to be November, so it's going to be we're at the 11th month. That's the third month. So that's 7 months. You still
So,
won't hit it.
so I'm gonna wait until March and see what how much they brought in.
If you do the math, you have 2.1 billion,
No, 215 billion.
215 billion, right? In 7 months, you're looking at for another 6 months. Let's call it another 2 billion. You're looking at not even $500 billion that would be brought in at the pace that it's going now. Not even $1 trillion coming from the tariffs. It's better
Right.
than what we're at. Don't get me
I
wrong.
want to see a full year. I want to see a full year of it being what it is right now.
No. I'm just saying, based upon the trajectory of what we've seen so far, is what I'm going on. I'm being generous by giving 200 billion, right? I'm giving a generous amount at the trajectory and at the rate that it's heading. At the rate that it's heading for, I'm going to say 200 billion. If you made 215 billion so far in 7 months,
No,
6
it's
months,
already at 215. It's already at 215 billion.
215 billion in 7 months. Add 6 more
Yeah,
months.
gold's always a good investment, Sister Shelley.
Yes, gold is definitely what you want to invest in. You definitely want to invest
Just get
in
the right company. Get the right company or get scrap gold.
That's what you want. So if you have 6 months, I'm giving you extra on that because in 7 months we've accumulated 215 billion in tariffs. I'm giving 200 extra billion for 6 months. That doesn't even put you.
I want to say I'm probably in a full year on a good full year of it running properly. I think we're going to hit about 500 billion or better, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Now, that'll add up.
Listen,
remember,
it's better than where we're at.
That 500. Remember, now remember that tariff money goes back to the people.
What I'm saying, Ham, is it's better than where we're at, but it's not the absolute solving of the problem. It's a good step for sure. No, maybe so about it. It's a good step. Bringing in 500 billion back to the country is a great step. Don't get me wrong, but it's not going to solve the solution. You need more than that, which is why I say when you cut the fat out, stop funding wars in other countries, stop sending troops over, bring them home.
This is true.
Start producing in the United States. That's where it's going to start. You open those pipelines, we are sitting on the richest deposits for oil in Alaska and the whole world. Right? You open those up.
That's what they're working on now.
Yep. You open up those, right? You open up the steel. You be a producer in the steel. Because what are the things that you need for anything military? You need steel, for anything to ship. You need steel for the cars, for all that stuff, for the trucks, for the planes, for everything. You need
fuel and steel.
You need fuel.
Fuel and steel. Those two, very important.
If you take a stranglehold on those two, now they have to come to get you. Now you have the supply, and you will come in on top.
And what happens is, and here goes another thing, right? Russia loses the value of their fuel once America opens back up those pipelines.
Exactly.
Because now they have
the whole world does what? The whole world has to come to us.
Right.
So when Trump opened the pipelines and the steel mills, that was a great thing. When Biden shut it down, that was a catastrophe.
But he's opening back up the coal mine and the steel mills.
Yep. You need those open.
He's opening back up. Yeah, he's opening back up. Yeah, he's opening back up the coal mines and he's opening back up the steel mills. He's working on doing that now.
What we need to do is that,
and
we need to do
and the pipelines.
We need to do that, and on top of that, start also getting into the renewable energy as well, because you want to have the balance, right? You want to
Yeah.
own that the fuel source because it's going to
He
give
does
you
have
the
a
revenue.
program going for that.
I think we also need to start investing in the the electric stuff and the hydro stuff. That's very important because that's where it's heading. So you want to take the money that you bring in from the existing fossil fuels, which is what the world runs on now. Allocate some of those funds to ship it over to it to increase the efficiency and the quality of the product of what's going to the future, such as the hydro, um, and electric, windmills. Still invest into those because when you invest into those on top of get the revenue from those, you are now setting yourself up for the next step, and that's what we need to do. We can't have just one only. We need to be in both. Because anytime you deal with business economics, you got to be able to adjust. If we don't adjust to the way the world is heading as far as that goes, especially in the energy business, we will fall behind again because we started the automotive. We fell behind automotive. We fell behind. And another country took over, which is why everybody has a foreign car now.
Well, I think more of the problem now. Well, I can't say we fell behind. I think the problem is too many of these people that were in office allowed these countries to leave the United States. I don't think it was because we fell behind.
What I mean by that is the technology of it, the advancement in those areas are what the problem is. That's what I'm saying. Like, we also have to stay ahead of the game, right? Because we were ahead of the game when we started the combustion engine, right? We started the combustion engine. We were ahead of the game. Ford was the one who was manufacturing. It was the only vehicle on the earth, right? The problem is somewhere along the line, I don't know exactly what date I wouldn't be able to give you, but somewhere along the line, we got laxed in it. That's what I'm saying. And the other countries took over. The same thing with TVs. That's what happened. Japan ended up taking it over.
They took over. They took over because they outsourced it to other countries. They outsourced it to other countries.
No, because they were developing, Ham. Japanese people were innovative in developing better ways. Yes, Ham. Yes.
Like for instance, okay, like RCA, right? RCA wanted cheaper labor to produce stuff, the same thing that China was producing. A lot of these car parts and everything we were producing in America, but these companies didn't want to pay the price. So people like the Clintons, the people like Obama, people like Bush Jr. All of them allowed these people to take their companies to other places with cheaper labor. I remember
what I'm saying, Ham. What I'm saying is, I'm not talking about the cheap. I'm talking about the innovation, the being ahead, the being coming up with new
that's what they were doing, but they outsourced it.
No. They what happened was they learned how to do it, and they started doing it better. Whereas the United States companies got laxed and going forward.
They just gave cheaper models and stuff. They gave cheaper models to stuff like Kia. Like Hyundai. That's what they did.
Yes,
it was copying the design of what America did.
No. Toyota, Honda is a better made vehicle. Hands down.
Any car is a good made vehicle if you take care of it.
No.
So
Honda and Toyota. I
can't really agree with that.
Who are the leaders?
Because I drive all different type of cars because I do rentals, and I'm telling you,
who's the leader?
That's that.
Who's the leader in the manufacturing business of cars?
Chevrolet, right now.
No, they're not.
Actually, they are
worldwide. No, they're not. Toyota.
Chevrolets are the most sought after cars. The Chevrolets and Fords are the most sought after cars all over the world.
Not worldwide. No, they're not. It's
actually,
Toyota and Honda.
From what I see,
worldwide.
The reason why they're sought after cars is because the difference between Toyota, Subaru, and the other brands or this because they copy what America does.
And they
Because
made an
America,
improvement on it. Cam.
American, no, they haven't. They didn't make improvements. What I'm
Who's
trying
the
to say,
first ones to go
what I'm trying to
hybrid,
say to
Cam?
no, what I'm saying to you is this: the luxury cars, and I'm talking about for a reasonable price, are made in America. The other ones are copies. The muscle cars.
What?
People love the
Cam,
muscle cars.
you're missing what I'm saying.
You can't
I'm
get
saying,
that with Toyota. No, I'm
you
just saying. No. I'm trying to show you about the cars, right? Toyota, Mitsubishi, Hyundai, and all of them have to copy the luxury designs that America
You know who owns
produces. That
Mercedes?
hasn't changed.
You know who owns Mercedes?
Germans.
No, Honda.
Yeah, but those are foreign. Those are.
Hold on.
When I'm talking about luxury,
Hold on. Let me finish what I'm saying so you understand what I'm saying. So,
all right.
the first ones to produce hybrid and all-electric vehicles were the foreign cars. I'm talking about innovation. I'm not talking about the same model. I'm talking about doing different, being ahead of it. Newer, better ideas, right? You take.
Oh yeah, I understand. I understood what you were saying about that. But the want for cars are still combustion engines.
So what I'm
It's going to take a long time before.
Yes.
It's going to take a long time.
Guess who
It's going
sells
to take
the
a long
most?
time before people.
Guess who
They
sells
sell
the
more
most worldwide?
combustible engines.
Guess who sells the most? What company? It's not American.
Nobody's selling a lot of cars right now. Nobody is.
Damn. The most sold car worldwide is either a Toyota or a Honda, hands down. Worldwide. Yeah.
I don't know about that. I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
No,
Because
it is.
it is. Okay. All right. Let me ask you a question. Jeremy. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna ask you this question. Which phone is a better phone? Is it the iPhone or the Samsung?
Well, you're splitting hairs because iPhone and Samsung are neck and neck.
No. I'm asking you, which is the better phone?
See,
I'm going to show you.
It's a preference.
No, I'm going to show you why it's not a preference. I'm asking you, which one is the better phone?
I own an iPhone. I just think I prefer the iPhone, just the functionality of it, but that's me.
No, so I'm asking you, which one is the better phone?
It's a preference because they both do the same thing.
No, it's not a preference. I'm going to show you why. I'm asking you, which one is the better phone? I'll tell you which one is the better phone. The Samsung is the better phone. Do you know why?
I would say it's a preference, but go ahead.
No, I'm asking you, do you know why?
No, go ahead.
The reason why Samsung is the better phone because the same screen that you have for the iPhone is on the Samsung phone. The only difference is they give a lesser version to iPhone because Samsung creates the screens for iPhone. So Samsung will always be the better phone. So,
and it's not American made, right?
What Samsung? No, it's not. It's not.
That's
somewhat. No, it's a partnership. It's a partnership with America right now. So it's kind of one of those.
What I'm saying is, who owns it?
The design right now, it's American and Japanese. So I can't really say
Japanese
that it's all
Japanese. The company. Japanese own
Samsung. At one time they did own the whole company, but it's some agreements because of when they
own Samsung. Japan owns Samsung.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
But I just wanted to show you that the reason why I say that is okay. So if I go and I buy I go and buy an Impala, right? And you go and you get a I don't know Toyota. I forgot what those are. That look similar to the Impala.
Which one?
Which is the better vehicle? The better
I
vehicle
would
is the
I would
Impala.
say Toyota is the better vehicle.
Toyota copied Impala.
What I'm saying is Toyota is the number
Just
one.
like they also copy Ford. They also copy
Okay.
Buick.
The invention came from. We know that. I'm not talking about the initial invention. I'm talking about the progression in the vehicle itself. I'm talking about the progression. This is where the United States has
I understand.
fallen.
I
It's
understood what you were
progression.
saying, brother Jeremy.
That's all I was
All
saying.
I'm saying it's gonna be it's gonna be a while before people gonna be really sold on the idea of wanting electric cars like that.
I don't know. Electric doesn't work for everything. Electric works for certain regions, right? You're not going to own an electric
But
vehicle in Minneapolis. It doesn't make sense. You're not going to own an electric vehicle in Alaska. You're not going to own an electric vehicle in like Canada or parts of Russia.
or the Midwest for that matter.
It just doesn't make sense, right? You need combustion. I'm
Yeah.
not saying. What I'm saying is we need to get ahead of those areas that we're behind. Get back ahead. That's what I'm saying.
You know, I get what you're saying, but the
That's all I'm
problem
saying.
with well, the problem with electric, going electric, regardless of whether it be solar or things like that, that's a decision that a lot of the old timer and even some of the younger kids don't even think about electric cars. Like I'll give you an example, right? About a week ago, I was watching this video of this guy was filming this car, right?
Yeah.
So the guy redid the 57 Chevy, but they put an electric engine in it, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to convince somebody because the first thing that they want to hear is the sound of the engine and the sound of what those dual pipes sound like. You couldn't hear that with that car.
No.
It's good for
Listen.
people that don't.
I get it. I agree with you. I'm not pro electric car myself. I wouldn't own one. Like I prefer gas. But what I'm saying is, as the whole, the United States has to get
Yeah,
better in those other areas
I agree.
because that's what we did. You take, for instance, we were on horse and buggy, right? And we made the leap to combustion. We went.
Yep.
We
Well,
the United States was the
Steve did combustion, but yeah, you're right.
yes, yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. And then also electricity. The United States was the first to electrify a city block, right? We were ahead of the
Yep,
game. That's the type of
yep.
stuff that I'm talking about. We need to get back to because that's where the United States was
I
prosperous.
agree.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is we
But
got
you
to
know,
get.
but you know what though, brother Jeremy? You know, Trump is pushing for that.
And I hope he
For
does continue, but it's going to take more
that's
than
why
him.
he's offering. Yeah, that's why he's offering these people from other countries to come here to build in this country, like in China, like in Japan, like in Sweden, like in all these other countries, to avoid tariffs. Build here in this country.
Yeah, yes, I understand why he's doing that, but I want to kind of went down a rabbit trail. I want to get back to the
Yeah, man. Look, when you get to talk about this stuff, everything else comes up.
Greetings, Sister Paris and Shelly Moss. Thank you so much for Shelly's house. Thank you so much for I'm glad you enjoy it, and I hope you continue to enjoy this video because this video is a very simplified version of what is going on today, what has happened in history. It's continued to history. History, it repeats itself when you don't understand history because history will tell you the do's and the don'ts. And we never want to look at history and follow the good patterns and discard the bad patterns. For some odd reason, we always tend to take the negative parts and adopt it and grab it and hold it so tight and so dear. And that's the problem. This is why I wanted to show this basic video on the currency and how it's being debased, which means to be devalued.
Other nations followed.
Yep.
The gold was leaving Fort Knox. The bluff was being called. In 1971, President Nixon closed the gold window. No more gold backing. The dollar became a pure fiat currency, just like the debased Roman denarius, just like the pound after 1931, backed by nothing but trust and the government's promise. At first, it seemed fine. The petrodollar system established in the 1970s created artificial demand for dollars because oil was priced in dollars globally. But the spending never stopped. The debt kept growing. In 1980, U.S. national debt was $900 billion. By 2000, it was $5.6 trillion. By 2020, it was $27 trillion. Today, in 2025, it's over $36 trillion. That's a 40-fold increase in 45 years. And it's accelerating. But the debt is only part of the story. Like Rome debasing the denarius, like Spain flooding the world with silver, the United States is printing money. Since 2008, the Federal Reserve has created trillions of dollars from nothing, quantitative easing they call it, necessary to stabilize the economy. During COVID, they printed over $4 trillion in 2 years, more money created than in the previous century combined. And just like every empire before, they told us it wouldn't cause inflation, that modern economics had solved the old problems, that we were different. We're not. Inflation hit 9% in 2022. Real inflation, the prices you actually pay for food, housing, healthcare, is far higher. The dollar is being debased, slowly at first, but the pattern always accelerates. And just like Britain, the United States is losing reserve currency status. In 2000, over 70% of global reserves were held in dollars. Today, it's 58% and falling. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and new members, are actively building alternatives. They're trading in local currencies, creating new payment systems, reducing dollar dependence. China and Russia are buying gold aggressively. Central banks worldwide are diversifying out of dollars. The world is preparing for the dollar to lose its dominance, just like they prepared for the pound to fall. The pattern is unmistakable. And here's the most dangerous part. The United States has the same problem Rome had. Military overextension. The U.S. maintains nearly 800 military bases in over 70 countries. The defense budget is over $800 billion annually. Wars in Iraq and Afghanistan cost over $8 trillion. The empire is expensive. And it's being funded with debt and printed money. Just like Rome couldn't pay its legions in debased coins. Just like Spain couldn't fund its military after repeated defaults. Just like Britain couldn't maintain its empire after currency collapse. The United States is running out of time. So let's identify the pattern. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every empire that has collapsed economically followed the same sequence. Not similar. Identical. Stage 1, dominance. The empire is at its peak. Military strength, economic power, currency trust. Rome with the denarius, Spain with the dollar, Britain with the pound, America with the dollar. At this stage, the currency is backed by something real. Gold, silver, trust built over generations. The empire seems invincible. Stage 2, overextension. The empire expands beyond its means. More territory, more military commitments, more promises to citizens. Rome expanded across 3 continents. Spain tried to control every ocean. Britain colonized a quarter of the world. America maintains bases on every continent. The costs become unsustainable. Stage 3, deficit spending. The empire spends more than it earns. At first, this is manageable. They borrow, they issue bonds, they promise to repay, but the deficits become structural, permanent. Rome needed to pay its legions. Spain needed to fund its wars. Britain needed to finance 2 world wars. America runs trillion-dollar deficits annually, even during growth. Stage 4, currency debasement. The empire can't borrow enough, can't tax enough, so they debase the currency. Rome reduced silver in the denarius. Spain flooded the market with silver, causing inflation. Britain abandoned gold and devalued the pound twice. America left gold in 1971 and has been printing ever since. Stage 5, inflation. More currency with the same amount of real goods means prices rise. Rome saw prices increase 50-fold. Spain experienced price inflation across Europe. Britain saw 25% inflation in the 1970s. America is experiencing inflation now, despite government claims it's transitory. Stage 6, loss of confidence.
I want to touch on the language. Transitory is a fancy word for feel safe, but it's not safe. It hasn't, it's not transitory. It's here and it's growing. Inflation is turning to hyperinflation. Go ahead, Brother Ham.
No, like I said, I'll keep saying this, right? I want to see what we look like this time next year, in December, because we haven't given it enough time for somebody that's responsible in office to actually try to do something with it.
I agree. Here's the thing. I agree with what you're saying. It takes time. My problem is 4 years is not enough.
Right,
Whoever follows
right.
has to follow at the pace that has been begun. That's
Yeah,
the issue. That's the long term. That's the issue. What we're starting to do now is great, but we have to continue to do better. And 4 years
we
is
got
not going to make up the deficit. It's going to take decades.
yeah, yeah, we gained a lot of money by getting rid of the USAID. We gained a lot of money because we got rid of that. Because I'm gonna be honest, we can help a country, but if we keep, and here's the problem, right? There's nothing wrong with helping a country, but when they become dependent, it's time to stop helping them.
Correct. It's like a spoiled child.
Yeah, they'll never succeed in rebuilding or becoming better if you keep just throwing money at the problem.
Correct. Sister Shelly says, I'm glad I came into your life, and it was a great way to spend my birthday night, gaining some new information I didn't know about. Glory to God. Glory to God, Mother Shelley. I thank the Lord that I met you and that you are here with us enjoying your birthday evening, because I'm sure there's many other things you could be doing that may be more fun. But thank you.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so I say that, Brother John, because that's the problem. We're helping all of these people, and that's even with Ukraine. To be honest, Ukraine should have been went ahead. I hate to say it, they should have been ahead. They should have went ahead and surrendered, because there was no way that without the United States they could have kept fighting. And a lot of
Yeah,
people have lost their life.
you look at the
Yeah,
same.
Russia was wrong. Yeah, Russia was wrong, but Russia is the
Yeah.
superpower versus Ukraine.
Here's the
Am I
thing,
saying
Ham.
Russia was right? No. Go ahead.
Do you agree?
I'll-
Correct. You agree that it's the same thing with a different conflict. We pour in
yeah,
outrageous amounts of money for that time or weapons for that country, and put ourselves further and further into debt, and the situation remains the same. Ukraine and Russia have been fighting that fight for hundreds of years. You have Israel. So here's what we're doing. We're giving money to Israel, and then we're backing the Palestinians. We're feeding the fire of war. We're fanning the flames of war, and then complaining about their war. That doesn't make any sense. Like, stop feeding the fire. Stop putting fresh logs on the fire with the fan right next to it, intensifying the flame, and you put water on it and quench it by taking out the money and let them handle their business. That Israeli Palestinian war has been going on for thousands of years. The United States is not going to solve the problem. We can't. That's an
yeah. I
internal
would have pulled.
matter. Leave them be.
Yeah,
They don't want us in
yeah.
their
I was
business.
in office.
Leave them alone.
Yeah. If I was in office and I was president, I would have pulled all the military, Navy, Air Force, and Marines, and pulled all of them from all of these countries and let them fight it out themselves. Because I don't live there. We don't live there.
We don't know the
They would have
details.
had.
We don't. We claim to know.
Yeah,
But we don't know anything about their situation. We know half truths from both sides.
this is true.
Leave them alone. This is why the original forefathers said the government is only to stop. Is not supposed to get into foreign entanglements. What is all we get into? Foreign entanglements. That's all we get into.
This is true.
A foreign entanglement, it just means you're getting into somebody else's business. You're not in the war, but you're feeding the war. And then you're saying, oh, these people are terrible, but you keep feeding them. Make that make sense.
If it was
I'm
me,
gonna say it again.
like I said, if it was me,
Peace.
I would have made every one of those countries pay. I would have made every one of them countries to pay for us to come and get involved in that conflict. They would have had to pay us.
Peace brings prosperity. That's it. Peace brings prosperity.
Yeah.
Because when there's peace, there's people working together. And they don't mind working together. They enjoy working together when there's peace. Like when you go to work and you enjoy the people you work with, you like working with them, there's peace there. But when you can't stand the people you're working around, there's conflict. And guess what happens? Things don't get done right.
Nope.
Peace. People need to, this country needs to mind its dang business. Just mind your business. You know what? Stop being a newsy
They
neighbor.
won't do that. Yeah. They don't want to do that though. They want to be in their business.
Because war makes the politicians, what war does is it keeps them relevant, so-called, to the masses and the importance of them because there's this threat, right? That's the only way they can keep their power. That's the only way they can keep their position and their money flowing in is by saying that we are needed to help things, right? Then you have that part of it. That's the only way that these politicians can stay in power. There's a guy I listen to, Gerald Salenti, and he makes perfect sense. He says, when all else fails, they take you to war.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, it's always been money in war. They've been saying that since I was a little kid.
Yeah, but not for the people.
I know, but I'm just saying it's always been money in war.
And corporations, that's it. The corporations making the weaponry, the corporations making the bandages, the corporations making the medicine, the corporations making all of that. They're making money. They're thriving.
The war machine.
Meanwhile,
the
regular everyday people are suffering.
Yeah. The war machines and weapons. Yeah.
Greetings, Cali boy. I know who that is. What's up, brother? So that's the thing. So I kind of want to get back into this because I do think this is helpful for the people to understand about the debasing of the currency and what it does to the people, so they can understand about inflation and about printing money, how it's the demise.
The domestic population and foreign nations lose trust in the currency. Roman soldiers demanded payment in gold, not denarii. Spanish creditors refused to lend after multiple defaults. The world shifted from pounds to dollars at Bretton Woods. Today, nations are shifting away from the dollar. Stage 7, collapse. The economic system fails. The currency becomes worthless or loses its dominance. The empire can't fund its military, can't maintain control. Rome fell to Germanic tribes it could no longer pay to fight. Spain declined into irrelevance. Britain lost its empire within decades. And the US? That's the question we're living through right now. That's the pattern. 7 stages, repeated 4 times across 2,000 years. Different empires, different continents, different currencies, but the exact same sequence. Because the math doesn't change. You cannot spend more than you earn forever. You cannot print prosperity, and you cannot debase your currency without consequences. The pattern is absolute, and we're in stage 5. Heading rapidly towards stage 6. So what happens next? History gives us 3 possible outcomes. First, controlled decline. Britain, after 1945, they lost the empire, lost reserve currency status, experienced painful devaluation and inflation. But the country didn't disappear. It adjusted to being a second-tier power. A slow, humiliating decline, but not total collapse. Second, chaotic collapse. Rome in the 5th century. The currency becomes worthless. The government loses control. The empire fragments. Dark ages follow. This is the worst case scenario. Complete systemic breakdown, not just economic, but social and political. Third, reset and restructure. A new currency system is established, maybe backed by gold again, maybe a new reserve currency emerges, China's yuan, a basket of
I
currencies,
just said
digital
that.
currencies. The old system dies, but something new replaces it relatively quickly. Painful, but survivable. The United States is at the crossroads. The debt cannot be repaid, not at current levels, not with current spending. The only options are default, inflation, or restructuring. Default would destroy dollar hegemony instantly. Inflation is already happening and will likely
Exactly what
accelerate.
I'm
Restructuring requires political will that doesn't currently exist. And here's what makes this different from Rome, Spain, or Britain. Those were regional empires. The US dollar is the global reserve currency. When the Roman denarius collapsed, it affected the Roman Empire. When the dollar collapses, it affects the entire world. Every central bank, every trade agreement, every financial market. The interconnected global economy amplifies both the impact and the chaos. But the pattern says it's coming. Not because of prediction, because of precedent. 4 empires, 4 currency collapses, 4 identical sequences. The math of empire is unforgiving. You can delay it, you can deny it, but you cannot avoid it. Rome debased its currency to pay its legions. The denarius died, the empire fell. Spain flooded the world with silver. Inflation destroyed its wealth. The empire declined. Britain borrowed to fight 2 world wars. The pound collapsed. The empire dissolved. And now the United States prints trillions, runs endless deficits, and believes it's different. It's not different. The pattern doesn't care about American exceptionalism. It doesn't care about military strength or technological advancement. The pattern is economic, and economic laws are as absolute as physical laws. You cannot print wealth, you cannot borrow forever, and you cannot debase your currency without destroying your empire. 4 empires, 4 collapses, 4 identical patterns. The only question left is timing. How long until stage 6? How long until the world loses confidence in the dollar? How long until the American empire follows Rome, Spain, and Britain into the history books? The pattern says we're close. The debt says we're close. The money printing says we're close. And history, which has watched this exact sequence destroy 4 empires before, says the ending is inevitable. The only variable is how fast it happens and how painful it is. If this gave you a new perspective, subscribe. Because when the pattern completes, you'll want to understand what happened and why. History has the answers, and the pattern never lies.
Hey, Tom.
So that was a short one. Yeah, sister Shelly, Boston is weird. You can't pay in cash in Boston. That's the strange thing. Most places you have to pay with either a card or like she says, so will we have to take that special coin to buy things? Also here in Boston, they have a way where you wave your hand to pay for things. Yeah, that's the chip. But Boston is one of the cities that's trying to go completely digital. They're one of the cities, which I'm not surprised. Not every city
Yeah.
is, but that city is.
Yep, I totally understand that. Hey, brother Jeremy, I hate to cut this short on you, brother, but I'm just now getting home, and of course
Get
my
your rest,
wife,
brother.
she's off work, so
Yeah,
yeah,
spend
she's
time with
looking
your
forward
wife,
to
brother.
seeing me. I've been gone.
Spend time with
All
your
right,
wife.
God bless everybody. Appreciate talking with you and everything, brother. And hopefully I'll have more time on the next time you do this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right,
You
God
be
bless.
blessed. God bless you.
Mm.
Yeah. America is definitely next. I definitely agree with you. I wish you were here for this whole video because it broke down even how the substance of what was used to pay kept breaking down over time, and so that's what we're facing in this country, and it's sad to say, and I often think about these other countries, such as in the South Pacific, and areas of the the Caribbean and these other, what we would call, I hate to use this term, but they call it third world. Their life is more peaceful, less chaotic, and normal. So, in a way, I kind of hope it gets to the point where we go, it won't. And I don't think we can ever go back to that. But I believe, as far as living situations, places like Thailand, the Philippines, Dominican Republic, those places, the life is more relaxed, peaceful. It's more normal. Whereas this is, you have to go, 80 to 100 hours a week to scrape by, right? But that's the price that the country has paid for becoming economically and technologically advanced the way it is. And that's kind of what people have become accustomed to. Over in those countries, you can go to small places on the corner and get yourself some fresh produce. You don't need to go to a giant supermarket, right? You can walk down the street and it's normal. It's not chaotic and chain this and chain that, and everything is advertisement. They are. My dad moved to the Philippines. And he seems happy. He seems really happy. And I'm thankful he's happy. Thankful he's found a lifestyle that fits him, that's more relaxed. And granted, he's older, I think he might be around your age, Mother Shelley, my dad. But when you stop and you think about these things, you can kind of see how these countries have been all right. Do they have, yachts and things like that? No, maybe not. But they have what they need. They're content. They're thankful. A lot more thankful than people from this country, that's for sure. I love meeting people from different countries. I met a gentleman from Ghana. Oh, so thankful for every little thing. Didn't complain, was just full of joy. Met some people from, Brazil. Same thing. Met some people from Portugal. Met some people, it's a different lifestyle over there. They're more thankful, I found. They're more grateful for the things that they have and the opportunity that they're given. Yeah, they have been spoiled, Mother Shelley. No, maybe so about it. But and they're less contentious, right? They're less angry. But when you are forced to work 80, 100 hours a week and barely make it by, it can be frustrating. Whereas they're working, they do what they got to do, but they have more time with their family and with at home, right? I heard, I was working with a gentleman from Guatemala, and they actually go home for lunch every day. They'd sit at home for an hour or two. That was lunch, and they go back to work. Very relaxed. Some of the people over from the Saints that went to Italy said that, certain hour it closes. It doesn't open. Lunch cannot be served, or dinner can't be served until 6 o'clock. And they're stringent on it, and it's more relaxed. This country is everything has to be open 24 hours a day. You have to be on call 24 hours a day. That's not natural. That's not the way life was intended to be. That's not the way the Lord had made life to be lived. Yes, you work, but not to this degree where nothing ever shuts down. That's crazy. But the debasing of the currency has happened. Coins were made out of nickel. They're no longer made out of nickel. They're not made out of valuable silver. They're made of a lesser material. Therefore, the value of it is less. The gold is no longer backing the dollar, therefore making it less valuable over time. And more programs keep becoming available, and more money has to be shoveled into these programs, thus creating more inflation. Whereas if you cut the government out a little, right? You have government, that's fine. But to the extent that it is on all these taxes and madness, if you cut out some of that, right? Allow the people to make their own decisions, because people do better in their own situation than somebody from the outside looking in. Like, you have a government making the decision for millions of people that they're not living that situation. They don't even know. You mean to tell me you make a better decision for me and my household than I can? That's crazy. People need to go back to being able to make their own decisions. What's best for their family? Where they want to live? What schools they want to go to? I'm going to show a gentleman, Thomas Sowell, about the difference between school choice and being forced to a school. The difference in the study that he did a study in charter schools in New York City compared to public schools. And they took one specific charter school in New York City, and charter schools are lottery based. Basically, they randomly choose somebody, a child. It's not based on anything else but a random decision. It was in the same high school. It was in the same school. This charter school, this is Africans, these are black people, white people, all of them. Black people passed the math tests at 100% in these charter schools, whereas the public schools passed, I believe it was at like 8%. Same school, same literal building. One was a charter, one was public, and the public schools failed miserable. Where the charter school, the black children passed at 100%. And he said some of them were 90, some are 70, but none of them are below what the minimum state requires. So school choice is important. There's so many variables that the government takes away from you, all in the name of equity. And he says something very, very important, very, very truthful. He says, people want equal outcome, not equal opportunity. And he's very right. People equate the opportunity as inequality, the outcome as there's inequality versus the opportunity. And he goes deep into it, and he talks about how everybody is different in different things, and how the mismanagement of sending kids going into college to the wrong schools, the wrong colleges, therefore they flunk out or they barely make it, and you set them up with hundreds of thousands of debt, and they don't even make it through. You set them up for failure. So there's so many problems with this country and the way it's run, and the government is the main factor. The government has done that to the people. I love this gentleman, Thomas Sowell. He grew up in the Jim Crow era. He he was a Western Union telegram. He brought Western Union telegrams, and everything, right? But he's brilliant in this regard, right? That's where he excels at. That's where he has. That's where he has done good things, and I'll play a little bit of it because I've been trying to get into some of these things here. Thomas Sowell is amazing, but I want you all to hear a little bit of what he has to say.
Is the norm, wealth the exception? With us today, a man who has written a book to remind us of that fact. Dr. Thomas Sowell on Uncommon Knowledge now. Welcome to Uncommon Knowledge. I'm Peter Robinson. Thomas Sowell has taught economics, intellectual history, and social policy at institutions such as Cornell, UCLA, and Amherst. The author of more than a dozen books, well over a dozen books. Dr. Sowell is now a senior fellow at the Hoover Institution at Stanford University. His latest work, Wealth, Poverty, and Politics, an International Perspective. Tom Sowell, welcome.
Good being here.
The big idea. Wealth, Poverty, and Politics, quote, the difference between seeing economic disparities as due to differences in the production of wealth and seeing those disparities as due to the transfer of wealth from some people to other people is fundamental. Explain that.
Well, I think there are a lot of people who regard so-called disparities and inequities in income as something that requires some great explanation, seem to assume that in the absence of some intervention, everyone would have something roughly equal income. Virtually everything that goes into the production of income varies enormously between groups, between nations, between people on the flatlands and the people in the mountains. You name it, it varies.
It varies. And I take it, correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I was reading this, I take it as one of the principal efforts of this book to correct the thinking of Americans who have grown up, most of us, in conditions that by the standards of human history and by the standards of many other places on the globe today would be conditions of almost staggering wealth.
Yes.
Even poor people in this country have smartphones, televisions, cars, and so forth. And we tend to assume, it may be human nature, we tend to assume that our conditions are normal and conditions that differ from ours are the anomaly. And,
Yeah.
and this book says, no, 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 no.
Well, good heavens, and especially if you look back through time, really it's only within the last 5 or 10% of the existence of human beings that there's been agriculture. I mean, think what that means, that people had to feed themselves, hunting and gathering, fishing, herding animals. And of course that meant that you couldn't have cities because for all those other ways of living, you need an enormous amount of land per person. If you were to, one Manhattan would probably be enough, to spread famine throughout the world. So that I start with geography because that's the most implacable obstacle. And geography is anywhere close to being normal. For example, just geographic phenomena. In the great majority of all the tornadoes in the entire world occur in the middle of the United States. You don't hear about tornadoes in London or Paris or Beijing. And you don't hear about them in New York or San Francisco for that matter. That just in one little place in the world, all the conditions are there for a tornado alley. And it's true with so many other things. Nothing is evenly spread out. There are rivers on every continent, but the rivers aren't the same.
Let me add, I was especially struck, let me give you this, here's a quotation from the book. Western Europe's rivers often lead out into open seas, providing access to seaports around the world. But most rivers in Eastern and Southern Europe are quite different.
Yes.
What's the difference and what bearing has that had on economic development?
Well, the rivers in Eastern Europe tend to flow into lakes and inland seas. And so when you get to the end of the Danube or the Don, you are not out in the open ocean. You know,
You're in the Black Sea or the Caspian.
That's right. And then if you want to get to the Atlantic, you have to go the entire length of the Mediterranean to get out there. The rivers in Russia, most of those empty into the Arctic Ocean, which is not quite as convenient as the Atlantic or the Pacific. And what that means is that you can't have the commerce, you can't have industry and whatnot to the same extent that you have. More importantly, you're not connected with the rest of the human race to the same extent. And one of the major findings throughout the book is that isolation almost invariably means poverty and backwardness.
In the mountains,
Yes.
if you live in Eastern Europe or Russia and you're cut off from the rest of the world, isolation leads, in fact, well, we'll get to this in a moment, but it seems even to have an effect on cognitive ability, prolonged isolation.
Oh, sure. Well, certainly in terms of not just sheer knowledge, you don't have the same knowledge, but more than that, you're not aware of how the basic things of life are done differently in other parts of the world. And so people who are isolated will keep doing things for centuries or thousands of years. So that, for example, when the British landed in Australia, they find the Australian Aborigines are living really at a Stone Age level. Similarly, when people from Europe came to the Canary Islands, the same thing. They had no idea of iron. In Australia, they had no idea of iron. It's one of the great sources of iron ore in the world.
Staying with geography for a moment, again, one of the themes that seems to me to run through the book is this question of your resistance to notions of, to attempting to impose notions of morality on economic conditions. So, for example, with geography, some people happen to be born in Western Europe where the rivers lead to the sea, and some people happen to be born in Russia where some rivers lead to the frozen Arctic and some rivers lead to the Black Sea. And it's nobody's fault.
Yes.
It's luck.
Yes.
Or sheer happenstance. Nobody's robbing anybody else.
Yes, as one economic historian said, you know, the world has never been a level playing field.
All right. Cultural factors, another one of the large segments of the book. Let me quote to you again, Wealth, Poverty, and Politics, quote, "Without the cultural prerequisites for developing natural resources into real wealth, the raw physical resources themselves are of little or no value," close quote. Tell us what you mean by cultural prerequisites.
Partly, that would be simply the knowledge of how to use things. As I mentioned in the book, the main difference between us and the caveman is simply human capital. Don't forget the caveman had all the natural resources we have today, and he had them in greater abundance because none of them had ever been used up. But he didn't have the knowledge that it would take to turn those to his own purposes.
We just know more.
Yeah.
We just know more. Now, you note a certain productive capacity that certain cultural groups demonstrate. And you can see them because they demonstrate the same, let's call it industriousness, as they disperse to different parts of the world.
Yes.
Germans, Chinese, Lebanese, Jews, Indians, quote, "The productivity is a matter of culture. That productivity is a matter of culture is shown by how many groups have arrived in various countries far poorer than the existing population and have nevertheless risen above the economic level of those who were there before them," close quote. Let's just choose, you name a lot of groups, it's a big book. Let me just toss one at you and see how you do. The overseas Chinese.
Oh my goodness, the overseas Chinese settled largely in Southeast Asia. Many of them came there with little more than the clothes on their backs. There was one Chinese millionaire in one of the countries who had in the foyer to his mansion this stick with a little cloth thing tied to it, because he walked into this place with that stick, all his belongings, and this little cloth thing tied to his stick over his shoulder, and he took off from there.
All right. The Jews.
Oh my heavens, that's been in so many places. My gosh, the Lower East Side of New York, one of the most terrible places when the Jews landed. The poverty and squalor is just unbelievable. In fact, even as late as the late 1940s, when I went to school on the Lower East Side, I'd always heard that all Jews were rich. And when I saw the Lower East Side, I said, why are these rich people living like this? The buildings on the Lower East Side were older and in worse conditions than the buildings in Harlem where I lived.
And they don't live there anymore.
No.
Those neighborhoods have turned over?
Yes. And it went by generation. The generation that was there first, even when they rose up to where they could have moved, they didn't, because many of them were not fluent in English and so on. And so you could live on the Lower East Side knowing only Yiddish, right, and find doctors, lawyers, anything you wanted, go into stores and so forth. And if you moved up to upscale places like Harlem, which was once Jewish, or to the Bronx, which at another time which became Jewish, you would lose that. The more acculturated people, the next generation who spoke English and were more familiar with American society, they lived in those kinds of places.
Got it. So why is it that in many instances that you detail, you get a subgroup, the Chinese move to Fiji, and why is it then that so often we see the pattern that the indigenous, the people who were there first, fail to get with the program? And to the contrary, not only do they not get with the program, learning the skills of productivity, they tend again and again and again to persecute the groups that came with nothing but achieve a certain level of affluence. So we have the Jews, that's an old story, ancient story, the persecution of the Jews. But you also show it with the overseas Chinese in Malaysia, with Indians in East Africa, and on it goes. What's going on there?
Well, for one thing, there's no particular reason to have expected the indigenous people to have acquired the same skills that the people who came there had. And worse yet, the leaders of these groups are very quick to blame the fact that they are lagging on the other groups who are more advanced. One of the phrases that you often hear, that this group took over this whole industry. And in many cases, there was no such industry until they came there and built it. Right. They did not take it over.
Right, right. So those are examples of the way culture can promote or enable economic productivity. You also provide a counterexample, the Soviet Union. Quote, the Soviet Union was almost a tailor-made refutation of geographic determinism. Explain that.
Oh, the Soviet Union was one of the most richly supplied countries with natural resources, and probably the most richly supplied. It was the only industrial nation which has so much petroleum that they export oil.
Right.
They have some, I don't remember the fraction, but they have a substantial part of the world's supply of natural gas, which they're now supplying all over Europe. Iron ore, manganese, you name it, they had it. At one time, something like half the industrial diamonds in the world came from the Soviet Union. The land was so rich that when Hitler sent his army in to invade the Soviet Union during World War II, he had plans to have the railroads take back this land from Russia into Germany, because it was that well known for its
You mean just the topsoil? He was going to send boxcars of topsoil back to Germany?
That's right.
I didn't know that.
It's one of the most fertile sections and the irony is, one of the world's great famines occurred in the Soviet Union.
How come?
Mismanagement by the government. Milton Friedman once said that if the government took over the Sahara Desert, there would be a shortage of sand. And the Soviet Union, it was just that way.
All right.
So here he starts getting into different areas of mismanagement of government, which is what we see. It's very bad, and people continue to have faith in these people that are never going to fix the problem. People, the old saying, it's better to learn how to fish. It's for somebody to teach you how to fish, right? Than to have somebody give you the fish. It's better for people to be able to take care of themselves than to have someone else do it. Right? Government is not a good thing for the backbone of the country. It will fail, it will fall, it's created poverty. The government has created enormous amounts of poverty. Keep saying, oh, but what if we didn't have this subsidy and that subsidy? Well, you'd have less taxes, you'd have more businesses, you'd have more economic growth because there would be less money dumped into things to keep people poor. But rather, you would empower them and enrich them to do for themselves. Because when somebody's back's up against the wall, they're going to fight their way out of it. So sometimes, although it may be tough, and we all have faced it one time or another, it's better for you to fight off your back off that wall than to have somebody pick you up and do it for you. Look at all the billions of dollars that taxes go to for people who just don't want to work. You cut that out and you put them in the workforce and you put them in, businesses grow better, productivity is better, people are happier because they have a purpose. People's mental are better. They're more busy in productivity than idleness. And even the scriptures say not to you go with a slothful man. A slothful man is bad. It means he's idle hands. He's not doing anything. He's not doing anything to help himself or anybody. The subsidies sound like they care. We need to have this program because we got to take care of these people. No, what you got to do is put the power in their hand to do for themselves. Get out the way. Stop handcuffing people. It goes even to building. Like, for instance, in Massachusetts, the cost of housing has boomed because of the restrictions that the government and towns and cities have put on, that the cost of building materials has tripled. So if you force companies into the higher cost to build a home, guess what's going to happen? In order to keep that business running, they're going to cheap out on material. The more rules and restrictions you put on people, the cheaper the productivity, the quality suffers, and the people are not happy. When you let their quality be the reason why people purchase it, businesses thrive. People can live. Why is it now you have to have two people with working income and you're still barely making it by? Whereas back in the 50s and 40s, you had one person working and they bought homes, cars, retirement. Why is that? Because the government has restricted the people and punished the people. They've punished them. They've taken the food out of their mouth with this false narrative that they're going to help and raise the people up out of poverty. I haven't seen a government raise anybody out of poverty in my life. I've never once seen the government pick somebody up out the gutter and allow them to sustain themselves. I've seen someone who has worked hard to climb themselves out of it, moreover, to succeed. The illusion is the government has to help you. No, it doesn't. The people are better with community and helping one another naturally. Exactly, Mother Shelley. And that's unfair. Your circumstance is different, though. Like yours, I could understand. Right? Your circumstance, Mother Shelley, I understand. People like you are totally different. That's an exception to the rule. And you can't make the exception the rule, right? So someone like you totally understand, help you out. Totally get that. But this government has enabled, allowed generations of people who are able to work sit on their rear end while the taxpayers foot the bill. Here you are struggling to, nobody ever looks at it this side. Here you are struggling to feed your family. You're working 60 hours a week. And you have someone who's able to work, but just sits in their rear end and allows you to feed their family, and you're struggling to feed yours. Tell me where the justice is in that. Tell me where the equality is in that. Everybody always looks at immediately, they're taking money, their food out of people's mouths. Are they? Are these people? I've seen videos of women literally saying it's the taxpayers' job to pay for my children, take care of my children. Multiple. One woman said, I've been on food stamps since I was 18, so I don't look at the pricing. Now I can't get this. That's the mindset. But no, automatically you have no feelings. You don't care about people if you're tired of struggling to feed your family, working so hard, and these people are getting $1,500 in food stamps and paying $8 in rent. But that's okay. People want equal outcome, not equal opportunity. Equal opportunity is there. It's up to you to seize it. It's up to you to take what ability God has given you and use it to benefit you and your family. It's up to the people to do so. If God has given you ability, use it. But this is where we're at. Unfortunately. And Sister Mother Shelley, I'm sorry that you have to go through this. Because it's not right for you, because I know you personally and I know your situation, and I know you are an exception, and you are not the person that my words are directed towards in that sense, because you have a right to have help, because you just physically can't do it. There's a difference. Physically unable and physically able, two different ball games. Mother Shelley, you are one that I don't mind my tax-paying dollars going to, because you need it. You absolutely need it, and you should get it. But the government has basically forced people into saying, especially mothers and especially single parents, it's, well, I can work here and barely make it by, maybe not even at all, or I can let the government take care of me and I don't have to worry about it. The obvious choice is you're going to take care of your kids, right? So they're choosing that. It's not incentivizing them to take the help and get on their feet. It's incentivizing them to become dependent. So, a little bit for you guys to think on, a little bit. Whoever listens, I hope it helps you. I hope it encourages you. I hope it opens your eyes. I hope it gives you an understanding of where we're at, how we can get better, because each and every one of us can get better in some way or another. I myself have room for improvement. I myself can get better at what I'm doing in every way of my life. Um, and that's encouraging for me because I enjoy striving to do better, um, spiritually, naturally, all those things. Um, I enjoy these things. Um, whether and I hope and pray that each and every one of you um, gets better at whatever you're doing. The improvement is there. You grow, you succeed. A way is made for you, and you're rewarded for that which you have earned. That's another thing. It's another thing that I make sure I tell my children. Nobody owes you anything. You better earn it. Anything you get, you earn it. Yeah. And many people of your generation, Mother Shelley, did that. But you know what? You didn't have a problem doing it. That's the difference. That's the difference, Mother Shelley. That thought process of, you know what? I got to do extra because it's just needed to be done is gone. It's everything is, I shouldn't have to do this. Why do I have? No, no, no. Situation is not what you want. Your first thought is, should be, how do I improve it? How do I make it better? How do I change my circumstance? What can I do? Forget everybody else. What can I do? That's the first thing, whether something goes bad or whether it's something that I'm thinking about. I ask myself, what did I do wrong first? Or, and if, how can I do better? How can I improve? How can I get better in every way of my life? How can I be a better parent? How can I be a better, you know, boss? How could I be a better employee? How could I be a better brother? How could I be just better every way? I want to look at how I can. I can't focus on everybody else is no. I got to focus here. I got to work on me. Make sure I'm right. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I don't seize whatever opportunity that's presented to me, whatever God blesses me to have, if I don't seize that opportunity, if I don't look at it as how can I get better, even with the falls, God teaches you how you can get better. You have to look, how do I get better? Right? What did I do wrong to him? What brought this about? That's the first thing I ask myself. This happened. Did I do something wrong? That's what I got to ask first. Something doesn't go right at work. All right. How can I make it better for the next time? What can I change? What don't I need to change? But the debasing of the currency is wow. Yeah, wow. That's rough. But the debasing of the currency is a time where the dollar has lost value. It's been losing value. It's been in decline for a long time. And if anybody knows about how economics work, it takes time for a thing to build, it takes time for a thing to fall. And it's not one administration's fault, it's a collective administration's fault. So whenever you hear, oh, it's Trump's fault only, well, no, that's a very ignorant statement because one person didn't create this problem. This is a compounding problem from many decisions prior. And now to fix that is a slow climb. You can't get it right away. You have to make wise decisions for the people within the country. to benefit them first. Because I use this analogy often. If you have only enough for your family, for your children, or someone else's children, who are you going to feed? You're going to feed your children. That doesn't mean that you hate those people or don't care about them. That's just what you're supposed to do. You're going to feel bad that those other children don't have, but you're not going to take out of your children's mouth to feed somebody else's. So why is it any different when it comes time for a country? Why would you take the food out of the people's in this country's mouth to feed somebody else when you can't even feed the ones here right now? That's like a man who has a family at home, leaves them and says, no, I'm going to go take care of somebody else's. What kind of sense does that make? It's stupid. We've got to... Some things Trump is doing are good. I don't agree with him dishing out money to any other country. So whenever he does that, I disagree with it. I don't care. I don't know how to feel about him setting his son-in-law up because his son-in-law did some dirty stuff with buildings that he had tenants living in. They were substandard, subpar. Didn't maintain them. I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll see. As of right now, I don't really like it, but hopefully I'm wrong. You got to give people time. This is a situation that was decades upon decades of. This has been culminating since the 1960s. All of what we're seeing has been culminating since the 1960s. It's been president and governor, one after the other. Poor decisions. Poor decisions. Just spend. Like I said earlier, I never forget. She was probably in her 70s, a history teacher. I was in 6th grade or 7th grade. And she said the problem with the United States is all we do is spend. We don't, but that's our problem. I don't think he claims to be king because if you go back to Obama and Biden, they had executive orders that they did a lot of. Obama did a lot of executive orders to overturn things. Biden did the same. Trump is just following suit. Do I agree with some of it? No. Do I agree with some of it? Yes. Like I said, is he arrogant? Yeah, I could agree. Is his policies economically? They seem like they're going to help. They sound good, but I want to see them in practice. I'll let time tell that. But we'll see. I don't like Biden. I don't like Trump. I don't like Clinton, Bush, Obama. I don't like any of them. They're all, to me, birds of a feather. But I think we need a change in how we're going about this economically. And some of the things he's presented are pretty good. But they all have to go together in order for it to work, right? It can't just be one or two. It has to be all or nothing. I'm unfamiliar with that, Mother Shelley. Could you help me? What is he spending millions to tear down? What historical place is he tearing down? I don't know. Forgive me for not knowing. I don't know that. I haven't paid too much attention to politics. I've been mainly focusing on the economics and obviously God and that. But I'm not familiar for a ballroom. Oh, you're talking about the White House? Is that what you're talking about, Mother Shelley? Talking about the White House? Tearing down and building something else in the White House? Well, I mean, the White House doesn't need any construction. Leave it alone. That's how I feel. That's me. Unless it's absolutely necessary, right? That's just what I say. But um, you know, okay, yeah, that's kind of silly. I agree. That's a silly waste of money. I agree. I agree with you on that one, Mother Shelley. I agree. Um, but it's like I said, it's not all perfection. He's a fallible human being. Uh, I'm just looking for progress, not regress, or status quo. I'm looking for progress because we've suffered enough and dealt with enough, and settled for less when we shouldn't. Um, so I'm just looking for progress. I'll take any progress at this point for the people. Um, Long term, a good set plan. Um, yeah, those minutes could have been used. That also could have been used to do other things, not just feed. It goes back to the $500,000 for every president for the rest of their life because they served one term. Do they need that? No. The senators making 200 and something thousand every year after they've retired. Do they deserve that? No. I mean, it's a cash cow. Politics are a cash cow. It's sad, but that's what it is. It's been corrupted and it's a money making scheme now. It's who can I grease and who can I get, this for and get something out of it, right? That's why whenever you look at presidents and senators, they always come out of office 10 times richer than when they went in. Look at Obama. Dude's got a, what is it, 8-bedroom, 8-bathroom home in Martha's Vineyard. Joe Biden with his mansion in Delaware. I mean, they didn't have that until they got into politics. Obama, before he came, he was over in Chicago. He was in Illinois. He wasn't rich. Gets into office, he's filthy rich. They all do it. Bush had daddy's, oil business. His daddy built that when he was in office. Hence, Desert Storm. It's the oil. They wanted to get the oil. His daddy owned oil. He was into the fossil fuel business. So they all do it. You can trace it back. The only two presidents that never had a political background in recent history is Reagan and Trump. Reagan was actually an actor, Ronald Reagan, and then Trump was obviously businessman and somewhat of an actor, I guess, because he had that show. But the other ones had political backgrounds for decades. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. That's what we've been doing as a country. Doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Vote for this person, vote for that person. Same result. You end up more poor, they end up more rich. That's what happens. Each and every one of them. They sell you dreams. They're great salesmen. They sell you hopes and dreams. But I thank you guys for tuning in to this live. I'm gonna end it, and I hope and pray that you guys enjoyed it. I thank you for all who tuned in, who showed up to support. I thank all those who will show up and listen later. I thank you for your patience. More questions next time are definitely welcome. Don't feel like you don't have to ask. You can't ask a question, even if it's about the videos that I play, whatever it is. Feel free. Um, this is for you guys. This is for the viewers. I just want to help you guys, and yeah, he was. This is for you guys, and I do it so you guys can get a little bit of education on different matters, different topics, as well as encouragement, because that's what it's about. There's enough of that negative stuff. We don't need anymore. We need positive growth, helping people, and that's what's needed. So, like I said, I hope each and every one of you enjoyed it. I hope it was informative and helpful. I hope you got somewhat of an understanding on a little bit of the debasing of currency, and what it means in the future, what it means for us and our children. We all know scripturally it's going to happen, right? We know it's inevitable, but to arm ourselves with knowledge, and maybe we, by God's help, we can receive knowledge to ease the burden, right? So, till the next time, I thank each and every one of you, and we'll close this out with prayer. Lord Jesus, I give thanks, honor, and praise unto you, for without you I have nothing. Without you I am nothing. Thank you for the many people who you have put in my life. I thank you for any of the people that you have allowed me to help. I thank you, Lord, for any bit of ability that you have given me to encourage and uplift others. I thank you for giving me a kind heart towards my brothers and sisters, and even towards the sinner. Thank you for changing this heart from a foul, wicked, evil, selfish person to more loving and caring for my brothers and sisters. I thank you for keeping me humble. I thank you for each and every person here and that will tune in. I thank you for them. Thank you for Pastor Jennings. Thank you for the minister brother who live within word of doctrine. Thank you for all the brothers and sisters across the globe. I ask that you look down upon us with mercy, that you may protect us, keep us, preserve us, guide us, and strengthen us. Prepare us for the times to come, as you did Joseph in the times of Egypt. You are a God who takes care of his people. So this I pray and ask for each and every one, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Till the next time, brothers and sisters, this is Brother Dunbar signing off with Exposing the Works of Darkness with Brother Dunbar. Peace be unto you.